Колеги, вітання.
Dear colleagues, we continue with our next topic about Mariupol, a year in the line of fire. Please welcome new Mariupol Patriotic Forces Coordinating Center Coordinator Maria Podybailo and Irina Parkova from Mariupol Public Television. Do you hear us? Yes, we hear you. You have 15 minutes. Thank you. My name is Irina Parkova. I'm head of the public television network in Mariupol, and we are thankful to the Ukrainian Crisis Media Center for this nice platform for Mariupol. We hope that we will use these airtime possibilities to cover the realities of the situation in Mariupol for everyone in Ukraine to have a correct picture of what's going on in our city. And I will moderate this presentation, and now the floor is given to our speakers. Hello, I'm Dmytro, Chychera, volunteer of Feniksa Wings NGO, and we are helping Mariupol and the military forces of Ukraine stationed nearby. All the work we've been doing has been carried for several months, and we started from scratch. We had a rotation about a week ago, and there was a range of problems similar to what we had at the beginning of the ATO. It concerned the military uniform, foodstuff supplies. It really shows how slow Ministry of Defense structures can be, at times leaving military detachments on their own, forcing them to solve their own provision problems. So after this rotation, we see this initial phase when military servicemen are mostly held by volunteer organizations, and this is quite a painful process actually, because for those who've been temporarily dismissed, they take everything they've got with them, and we have to start supplying new military servicemen from scratch, including generators, food, staples, and I do hope that the Ministry of Defense will take note of that and will do something to provide better supplying capacities. Another serious problem is about displaced persons. I'd say that up to 80% of them are left at the mercy of a variety of volunteer organizations, and we are glad to see other regions of the country helping these people with clothes, with medications, and with many people being really internally displaced with each coming day. We see more and more volunteer organizations helping families, helping children, and coming back to the military topic, we do have uniform and food supplies kind of arranged by the ministry, but unfortunately the scheme seldom works as intended. At times we see, many times we see that the uniform the Ministry of Defense provides is at times substandard, and military servicemen are faced with the need to buy many things, clothes, boots themselves. We've been discussing with other volunteer organizations in Ukraine the situation that more than 1 year into the war in Ukraine, there is a huge need to rethink the logistics of supplies, and this is very topical matter. We have volunteers from Kyiv currently with us now, and we're discussing how we should coordinate this logistics to improve it. We think that everyone in Ukraine should know about the need to have several logistical warehouses, if you want, stationed along the line of contact to save on supply time and to make these supplies more accessible also both for volunteers and for military servicemen. There is a concept already elaborated, and some certain early steps have been already made, and we think that it will really provide better chances for us. Because really, after 1 year in this volunteer assistance, we see that the situation really deteriorates, and all-time methods of dealing with volunteer assistance no longer work. And I think volunteers from all over Ukraine need to understand that volunteer organizations, their brethren in Mariupol and in other frontline cities, work in a bit another style. You need to understand that whatever requests we receive, and we have plenty of these requests, they're now really a challenge for us, because requests can range from making good shabby boots to restoring an armored personnel carrier. And we cannot cope with it alone, and we need certain lines of logistics, communication with other volunteer organizations to be better able to manage the resources we have. We are really wary of Ministry of Defense suggestion to send all the donations to army to special accounts set up by the ministry. They have barely managed to do anything good with the funds donated already to the ministry throughout this year. There are some unscrupulous quasi-volunteers that the State Security Service should look into, but there are real volunteers who work much more efficiently than the Ministry of Defense, and I don't think that we are going to share our money with the ministry. We have two banking card accounts with us in our organizations, and whatever the Ministry of Defense mandates, we're not going to complain with it, because we see what we are fighting with, and even if they say of some responsibility, well, let's first think about putting everything in order, and it must be a bit premature for us to trust all of people money to the ministry. There is another thing that I'd like to discuss today. This is the topic of Shirokino, quite a complex topic. Already this morning we had heavy shelling there. Mostly snipers were working on our positions, against our positions. This is a topic highly relevant for the public in Mariupol, not just for our military servicemen. People in Mariupol think that Ukraine should not surrender Shirokino. There have been suggestions of demilitarizing the area of Shirokino from the Ukrainian side, but the situation is far from that clear-cut situation we would see somewhere in April. We met the that time with OSCE representatives, with the monitors, with our military guy. And at that moment we spoke that it was not possible to demilitarize the area. First of all, because of the big question of who we are going to agree that upon. Insurgents constantly change there, and we may conceivably reach agreement with some of them only to see other groups and gangs operating in a matter of days. Also, we asked OSCE Ambassador Alexander Hogg why it is so that we have to agree with terrorists against the international standards of never having any agreements with them. Again, back in April, we seem to have agreed that peaceful population should be relocated as soon as possible before any attempts to demilitarize, because the international experience says that peaceful residents should be given first-hand priority in terms of their relocation to avoid possibilities for them of becoming hostages. And only then all sorts of operations can be carried out, whether demilitarization or others. And this is our position, not just about Cherokina, but in respect of all other local conflict hotbeds or residential areas affected. Peaceful residents should be evacuated before any further steps, because in this case our military forces will have better maneuverability. They will be able in the end even to use weapons more freely to cut short any attempts of insurgents to move further into Ukrainian lands. And there is another thing to ponder about, and this is what we expect from the state, from the government. The government should think about how to provide, how to socialize those who were forcibly relocated, who lost their properties, their livelihood. We have to understand that we cannot have another residence. We have what we have, and these are our people, and we need to look after them and help them. If we help them to regain their livelihood in Ukraine, they will remain ours. If we force them somewhere to Novozovsk or to Russian territory, we will lose them.
As for today, they heard us, and the residents of Mariupol went to the streets, and we told them do not go into the streets. We feel the threat to the city, etc., etc. Today's situation radically changed. Alexander Hogg was absolutely right to say that about 70% of the houses in Cherokina are not supposed to be restored. Maria, I'm sorry, if you can sum up within 1 minute, and then maybe some questions. Today, we understand that the demilitarization of Cherokina is a different issue on different basis, and we are not talking that our positions are going to be surrendered. We heard, we went with the head of the sector, and he assured us that the last point was Mayak. This is the eastern outskirts of Berdyansk, and our armed forces are not going to retreat further on, and they are going to defend the defense line. Actually, they are going to strengthen the defense of the city. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Dmytro. Thank you, Rina. Are there any questions to our speakers? Very brief. Please be brief. There are no questions or no clarifications. Thank you very much. And we hope that our communication with you through Skype will be on a regular basis. Thanks a lot. Our next briefing in about 1 or 2 minutes from now. Thank you.